Are you a small creator that just heard the news about YouTube giving us the finger and now you're panicking on how to even tackle growing? If you're new here or just stumbled upon my channel on accident, YouTube announced recently that the monetization requirements to be eligible for AdSense, which is how you receive ad revenue for the videos you create, have doubled effective February 1st, 2027. This hinders most, if not all, creators, with the biggest hit being the faceless and storytime art community. So naturally, we are angry and incredibly overwhelmed. I myself have experienced impossible deadlines, both personally and professionally, and I know this won't be the last time. So I'm going to show my process of how I learned to improve my skills quickly, from self-reflection advice to tactical and actionable tips without having to resort to slop and just use that good old YouTube University. And these tips are transferable to any goal you have set for yourself, whether you're learning content creation or just want to improve your own skills. This video will be timestamped, so I encourage you to move around the sections you need. Without further ado, Ziggy University is now in session. Here we go! So you might be asking, why is this chicken talking to me about YouTube growth? She barely got any subscribers, all right? Well, guess what? Outside of YouTube, I got a big girl job. Outside of YouTube, I have professional industry experience in both product and project management. I have led teams launch multi-million-dollar projects, all right? Don't play with me. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to conceptualizing and getting things out the door, all right? If there is any way to somewhat spin this to our advantage in a positive light, it's that we are now officially all given a deadline. Admittedly, you should always have a deadline anyway. That's what I have for myself. If you don't have one, well, we all kind of do now, and it's rough, okay? But when you have a major project that needs to launch and the date just simply cannot move, all the ducks are in alignment and you simply must have this thing launch on time, you gotta get it done by any means necessary. I don't agree with it. Don't get me wrong, I don't agree with it, but this isn't the first time that I've dealt with this. It's not gonna be the last time, all right? So I've got experience in this. Number 2, I am self-taught in everything that I have accomplished. My writing, my illustrations, my video editing, all of that. Even my experience as a product manager, I went on YouTube and looked up how to be a product manager, how to update my resume, how to reach out and network so that I could get this industry experience. I am YouTube University. I learned everything via YouTube. So I know when I say you have all the tools you need, it's a matter of learning how to use them for your advantage and for your specific goals. All right, so now that I have my credentials out of the way, I'm gonna share how I learn, because I learn very quickly. Most of the time it's because I don't have any other choice. I have to learn something new because some sort of huge major life event is happening that does not allow me the privilege of learning at my own speed in my own pace, right? I have to learn something quickly. And so when I need to learn something quickly, I kind of break it down into this process that we're gonna go into here, right? Okay, so first thing, knowing your strengths and weaknesses. You must be introspective enough to understand what it is that you can and cannot do in your current time frame, right? You need to be able to assess your skills and your weaknesses. So I'll give you an example of mine. Creative writing. I have always been a creative writer. That is something that I just grew up doing. I love to write. Storytelling, rhythm, and timing. This is something that I've honed over the years by watching comedians, by interacting with other storytellers, by the media that I have watched over the years, my inspiration, and then rhythm. I am naturally musically inclined. All of that plays into my strength. I enjoy that. I know that I have that inclination, right? Next, analytical. I love the technical know-how. I love seeing the numbers and understanding what worked and what didn't work. Again, that is also my professional job. I have to know how to understand data as a whole in order to make the executive decisions that I need to in order to say, hey, this feature's going out today, or hey, no, we can't launch this bad boy. Try again. Let's go back to the drawing board. That is my profession. I enjoy it. So I know that these are my strengths. My weaknesses, titles and thumbnails. I'm still trying to figure that nonsense out, but it also is a new skill, right? This is quite interesting. And so because it's a new skill, I have to analyze what makes a good title and what makes a good thumbnail based on how I would click on a video. So we'll get more into like how I truthfully analyze what I'm seeing and how I'm making the decisions I am. And we'll go into that a little bit later. Motion graphics. I have not motion graphicked anything in my life. Therefore, new skill. I know that it's animation in some capacity. And again, I have no animation experience, which segues into the next weakness that I have, keyframe animations. New skill. Never done that thing in my life. All right, so that means when I am learning how to do these things, I'm gonna have to look a little bit into animation fundamentals as a whole. whole. Regardless if it's just I'm making an image move from the left to the right or I'm getting a little bouncy with it, I need to learn some sort of animation. But the good news is that I've grown up watching animation and 2D animation, 3D as well, and I love it. So that's gonna help me in the long run, but I haven't done it myself. All right, next, editing for retention. I will say this is a weakness, but at the same time, I can see that I'm getting better at it because I also have a very rapid firing thought process. It's why I'm able to be flexible. Listen, I can spin any weakness into a strength. How do you think I get these interviews? But when it comes to editing for retention is a new concept for me. And this is something I've had to study a lot, especially with the videos that I watch. I know why I enjoy certain videos more than others. So now I have to understand specifically what's the back end behind why I like these videos. And therefore, how do I learn to edit in a way that I like to convey who I am? I know I am a balance of chaos and emotional sort of intelligence, right? So I have to find out what's the best editing retention style for someone that is both chaotic and calm. Editing speed. Oh my God. I ain't that fast at editing, but I'm learning. Honestly, I should just put this as a new skill as well. I'm learning how to get faster at editing. I am using a software I've never used before in this way, which is CapCut. I have to start learning what are shortcuts. And honestly, I did not wait until I knew all the shortcuts to even start making videos. I've found a lot of shortcuts on accident while making videos. I can always get better at editing. Pacing. I've rewatched a lot of my old videos and I can see where the story points are a little bit slower or too fast, in my opinion. And I can analyze my old videos and tell you exactly why. A lot of it was because I was speaking off the noodle in my closet without anything written in front of me. Yes, I like to speak from the heart, but at the same time, I need some notes. And so as my new video has been coming out, it's been getting a little bit easier to work on the pacing because I'm writing things down. Even if they're not full sentences and they're bullet points, they're enough to keep me guided. And there are certain parts that are scripted, let's say like an intro. And basically I'll have an intro scripted, but I'll put some sauce on it that I didn't write down because I realized sometimes words that are written are a little bit more stagnant than I like. Again, the pacing of it all is something I'm still figuring out. So weakness, all right? I can confidently say that's a weakness. Click-through rate, the CTR. Honestly, this is really just tied into the titles and thumbnails. That click-through rate is gonna get maybe better over time, but the good news about that is A/B testing. If you got access to it, use it. And honestly, later on in the video, I'm gonna talk about what I'm doing in my A/B testing. Because again, a lot of this stuff here is a matter of you gotta throw, the spaghetti noodle on the wall to see if it sticks. I don't know if that's the phrase, but you get what I'm saying. You gotta just try. It's trial and error. So we'll go into how I've been tackling A/B testing as well. Last weakness is hooks. I think I can do better hooks, and I hate that I have to call these things hooks. I get that I have to do better hooks, but at the same time, a lot of my intros, they're not half bad. Some of them made me laugh. I think I got the meat and potatoes and the concept of hooks in general. I can probably learn how to say less and make it a bit more engaging, a little bit more interesting to keep watching. So, but again, that's something that's just gonna happen over time that I get better at. But as of right now, it's a weakness because truthfully, I have the data on my channel that tell me people aren't staying long enough anyway. If I have the data that supports that, that tells me I can improve on the hooks, So it's just understanding what I got in my YouTube studio, using that data, and then just kind of iterating upon that, right? Okay, now let's kind of move on to the inspiration, how I go about choosing inspiration. All right, let's talk about inspiration. But I know that there is a style of editing that I really like that I think works well with the goals that I have for my storytelling. First and foremost, I don't have aspirations to be an animator where I'm animating feature-length films, okay? I have a goal of storytelling to really just to bring my stories to life with the characters and the visuals that I want without hurting myself. And what I mean by that is that I have physical limitations that will prevent me from making the big animations. It was finding this balance, this hybrid option, if you will. And that hybrid option is using editing to help support my animation. And so because I have that idea that I want to be a hybrid story animator, I need to look at videos that are more editing inclined. So let's start off with Connor. So if you don't know who who CDawg VA is. Famous streamer right now, but he also started as a YouTuber. I first found Connor via his Krang games. A lot of his older audience found him via his Black Butler series. And I watched those older videos and they were quite charming. But I found him at the time for the Krang games. It was just really fun at that point for me. But it was the editing style of these videos that made me watch these videos the most. Obviously, I love Japan and it's very fun to see Crane games in Japan because I wasn't even about that. I didn't even know Japan was, built like that in terms of Crane games. But what kind of kept me watching was Mudon. Mudon, if you're not familiar with who that is Connor's editor. Mudon's style is what always got me watching those videos and always got me excited to keep coming back. Yes, Connor's cool too. Don't get me wrong, Connor's cool too. We love CDawg, but it was Mudon's editing decisions, the inclusion of certain memes, the way that things transitioned, the pacing. I liked it a lot. So of course I've gone to Mudon's YouTube page, and then Mudon also has some editing tips and kind of walks through his editing process too. But I know Mudon's style, I liked it. Next, the GOAT, the OG editor for me that I fell in love with is Barry. If you grew up watching Game Grumps, because I started watching Game Grumps honestly when it came out in 2012. I was still in high school at the time, so I don't watch Game Grumps that much anymore. Honestly, I kind of just don't. But Barry. It was Barry that had the funniest edits that would come in every now and then. And then once Barry left, I follow Barry. Most of you have seen the iconic video that is the Kingdom Hearts Summer video that Barry painstakingly edits. Very simple illustrations with the funniest animations, but I can tell that a lot of these have keyframe animations and editing used to push his story together. So that's how I knew, okay, if I want to edit in a style that's not hardcore animation in an animation program, this would be it. Next, you know him, you love him, you most likely have seen him in some capacity. It's Ice Cream Sandwich. I can't remember when I first started watching these videos, and I think it was probably around the time of COVID. Hilarious stuff. Beautiful timing. Chaotic scenes. Chaotic just in general. Very similar to how I think as well, and there's reasons for it. But there's animation. Absolutely, there's animation here. But there's also interesting editing styles that are used. And if I do want to dabble in animation down the line, this is probably the closest style that I would like to animate to. Next, not a faceless animator or hardcore editor, but this is Internet Pit Stop, some of the best videos out there. And honestly, the charm of these videos when it comes to editing is quite literally, the style is almost like it's low budget, but at the same time, that low budget doesn't stop them from making bars and bars of absolute beautiful takes on games, anime, and so on and so forth. But the editing style, they're very creative. Next, a faceless-ish YouTuber, but for the most part, this would be the more storytelling inspiration, because there is a lot of beautiful pacing and storytelling that happens in Zeltic's videos that I really enjoy, as well as the actual voice. It's nice. And then again, the music choices and the sound effects to help build almost that audio novel style type of video, which I really like. And then again, back to this one video. This is just a chaotic, fun video, but the editing in this Nightshade video it transcends. It just transcends. I don't know if JonTron edited that himself or had someone else, but this was the one that helped me really understand, keyframe animation is that thing. Like that keyframe animation work in here. Okay, we'll get there. I don't know how in this moment, but we're getting there. We're getting there, All right, but the point of me talking about the inspiration right here is this is an exercise that you should be doing yourself if you have not done it already. You shouldn't be having inspiration stuck in your head. What I recommend doing, because this is how I know the editing style that I created for myself, watch their video. All right, so when you're watching their video, make a list about what you like about it. For this part right here, get a pen and paper. You're going back to school. Sit down in front of that computer, in the front of that TV. Actually have pen and paper and write down what you like. Is there a certain sequence that made you laugh? Cool. Find the timestamp and say, okay, I like this is funny because there was a pause between the joke and the punchline, and then there was an immediate zoom in on an expression. Those kinds of things. Write that down, because that's how you're going to learn exactly what kind of timing or what kind of expression, what kind of of cinematic cut you want to have in your storytelling. But you need to write down concrete things about the videos, the things that inspire you. You need to write them down. If anyone asked you, hey, what do you like about this video? Like if Barry walked up to my door and said, hey, I saw you like that video. What did you like about it? I can confidently say, well, Barry, pull up a chair because it's going to be a minute. I'm going to dissect this video and tell you every little thing I liked about it. All right. You want to get to that level of understanding for these videos to better help you make your videos. Okay. All right. We're moving on to the next one. All right. So now you might be asking, how to study. A lot of people that are following me are also into art, into storytime animation. The closest that I think would be a really good example to really talk about this is Viyaura. I think this is the closest thing to what I want to do with my videos with a little bit of a sauce to it. But she's still an amazing resource to study from because the editing choices and the pacing and the timing is still there in the videos for me to study and learn from. Step 1, find someone in your niche or as close to it as possible. Okay, step 2, we're going to go into their video tab and quickly analyze what their content videos are predominantly about without watching. You need to be able to scan to not get distracted by these videos because again, these are good thumbnails. You want to be able to quickly see these thumbnails and understand why you feel inclined to click these thumbnails. Do you feel inclined to click this thumbnail because PewDiePie is in it? Well, probably yeah, truthfully, because this is a famous face. This is a famous face, but you also have Viyaura's face right here, a reaction. Let's take a look at these titles. These titles, if you can tell, they're not very long. Maybe this is the longest one out of all of them, but if you don't realize, the longer you make your title, it's gonna get cut off. And right now, this is a desktop view. Honestly, most users in all sorts of applications these days are just mobile users. You wanna look at these thumbnails, you need to start squinting your eyes. You need to step back and look at these thumbnails, and you need to be able to see which is the one that still stands out. And you know what? This one right here, this is the one that stands out. If I squint my eyes, why? Because there's colors. This whole thing right here, it's multiple colors. I'm in. I'm locked in. Point is, study this. Don't click on these videos yet. Just at a quick glance, without having to watch these 9 videos, I can already tell that most of Viyaura's videos are art-centric, whether that's art challenges, art tutorials, or just reactions to other artists. Like I'm able to quickly figure out, oops, sorry, I snapped. I'm able to quickly figure that out with a glance, which means if someone goes onto your channel, and this is honestly feedback for myself, which means that if someone goes to my channel and my videos tab, they should at a glance know what the heck my stuff is about. So that's on me. I also take that feedback now that I'm saying this out loud. That's how we learn. We're strategizing. We're understanding why someone else works, what we need to do to fix our stuff. All right. Step 3, we're going to their oldest video, right? Like we're going into the tab that says oldest and we're going in there. So for example, when I did this last night, we have a quick glance of the old videos. You're going to hear all these YouTube gurus and whatever the hell talk about this freaking outlier theory, whatever. We're not talking about theories, but at the same time, maybe there's some merit to it. I don't know. I don't care. The point is there is visual data here that does support that something worked. Let's start off with here. 9.4 anime speed paint, how I color and procreate. Notice how anime speed paint is in the front and how I color and procreate is in the back. Since I'm on desktop, it's showing me the entire title. Most likely, if I was on mobile, there's a chance that procreate could get cut off. And so at a quick glance, there's no app icon to indicate this is procreate. So on the off chance that this title is cut off because it's the priority of the words are just not in the right order, the average Joe may not know what this is about. Therefore, we can see that there was a change, right? The title got shorter. The icon of procreate is there, but it's still not hitting. Again, this is still a lot of views, do not get me wrong, but she's probably going to get to a point where she decides the important thing needs to be at the front. And this is more like a subtitle, right? The anime speed paint probably should be at the end. Procreate should be at the front. She's just trying to get things out there. She's on that grind, right? Like she's just putting things out there. And sometimes when you're an artist, it's just, people just love to see something, come into fruition and just see how it changes over time. In between your videos, right? In between the videos that you're making, maybe you can throw in a speed paint there. At the rate that YouTube's making this work, hey, get people a little bit more I might do it myself, right? I might make my own speed baby paints. So like that's an idea. Now then we kind of move to the next one. There's a jump, something worked. 4 minutes of relatable art TikTok. And from what I think I clicked on one video. It really is just her making TikToks and just putting them up here on long form content. But I'm pretty sure she just, also made art TikToks. Most people in the artist community do have to make art TikToks as well. She said, well, I already made these videos and they probably took so much space. Let me just make it into a long form, bring it to another set of audience. And it worked, right? 36. Hey, especially for people who don't have TikTok. Now they don't gotta go on TikTok. They can just go right here. Boom. Easy watch. Let me pull up my dinner and start watching them, right? Okay. All right. We then go right here. Cure art block in 10 minutes. Okay. But then this is saying cozy 10-minute ASMR art chat to overcome art block. Because it's a long title, there's a chance that if this was on mobile, it's going to get cut off. And so if it was cut off, it would probably say like cozy 10-minute ASMR art. And then title thumbnail would still say cure art block in 10 minutes. But it gives you an idea, right? It gives you conceptualization on why this may not have been the best. But I mean, again, 19K views. It still worked, right? It still worked. That's still views. But when you're trying to learn how to construct titles and thumbnails, that's one thing to consider. And then, okay, we can see the process going back. We can see TikTok art tips and tutorials that actually work. So now she's like, all right, let me try to help some folks out. Let me try this solution towards that. Long title, but we kind of just have the TikTok icon. So at the very least, consistency and letting people know that this is about TikTok. So boom, all right, there's no question about it. And TikTok is a keyword. It's probably still popping up in somebody's search if they type in TikTok, right? So it's still working. But we know that the thumbnail is just showing probably her TikToks that she's made, but this may be a little bit confusing to someone who doesn't know what this is about. So is this about a tutorial about eyes? What does this mean? What is the tutorial helping me here? So again, there's not a lot of information on this that's telling me what the tips could actually be about, right? That's what I'm assuming based on this. And then we get to the big one, 197K views. Again, 13K, 197K. All right, what changed? Boom. How to color hair. Clear as night and day. You know that this video was gonna be about hair. And guess what? Not only that, we know that the illustration, we got someone bald on the left and it's small, and then someone on the right. Again, this is taking up 2/3 of the screen, which is really nicely rendered hair. And it's at the forefront. So there's no question what this is about. Then we have the title that supports how to shade hair, right? Okay, so we're talking about hair color. Okay, easy tutorial, short. And then we have 5 minutes and 31 seconds. The easy tutorial is supported actually by the duration, or the duration is supported by the easy tutorial. Vice versa, however you're taking it. The average Joe, seeing that this video is only going to take 5 minutes, I can get a 5-minute tutorial on how to get hair looking this good. All right, I'm in. You got me. I'm clicking, right? There you go. So that worked. In her mind, she's like, ain't no way. There's a chance that it only... Just as I've been making thumbnails myself, there's a chance that she made this thumbnail in like, I don't know, like maybe 20 minutes compared to the other thumbnails that probably took her a lot longer. And then this is the one that popped. And you know why I know that? Because the video that had y'all find me, I made that thing in like 10 minutes. And that's the one, of course, that had the click-through rate. It be like that. It really do be like that. So anyway, but it's proof. We see it here. Then you're tracking with me. Stay with me now. Stay with me now. But she's still got to be consistent. And she's still on that TikTok. She's still doing them things. So she knows it's probably a little bit easier to compile all those videos. She already made them. And she's just making these videos. And then she kind of tries going back to that whole like TikTok art hacks that actually work, which is cool. All right, it's a little bit shorter and it probably wouldn't get cut off. 16K versus 13. Okay, the issue potentially here could be that this middle image is a little bit confusing because the one on the left is telling me how to fill in color, which truthfully it's a little bit small. So if I'm squinting, I can't read that. And if you're on your phone, you can't read that. This one over here is kind of just a really beautiful illustration. You know, it doesn't give me a quick glance of what the art hack is. And the one in the middle, it's just Toru and Kyo sitting on the house looking at the moon. It is a screenshot from Fruits Basket. So I'm wondering if this is during the time that the anime came out and people were really into it. I'm not sure, but you know what? Hey, it worked. Something happened, right? But we still know it's about TikTok, okay? And then the mad lad does it again. Right here, 232K views, right? What happened? Rule of thirds, once again, 2/3 right here, 2/3. I drew this. I tried illustrating a book cover. And guess what? That's the book cover? I'm interested. I gotta know what's going on. So again, this worked the same way that this worked. I don't think this was a coincidence. This truthfully worked. We're gonna go on her page real quick. I'm gonna show you real quick. We have 232K views. That title, that quick little like, I drew this, boom. She did it again. She said, you know, that kind of thumbnail, I think it kind of worked. Let me try it again. Let me switch it up, but let me try it again. It kind of sucks. Worth? Okay, so this is already telling me, dang. Honest, in all caps. Honest Procreate Dreams review. So therefore, here's the genius behind it. The two biggest words that are capitalized, honest review. Boom. So even if I didn't even read Procreate Dreams, my brain says honest review. Kind of sucks. Is it worth it? Okay. I gotta know the T. What's the T, girl? Tell me. Boom, I clicked on it. 289K views. Let's see if she does it again. Title gets a little longer, but guess what? She learned. This is how you know someone was like, nah, I got this. She learned how to draw on Procreate. That's the most important part of the title. That needs to be in front. And again, her subtitle, full digital art illustration process. And again, most likely it does get cut off in mobile view, but again, I'm on desktop, so I can't really see it. We got the icon on Procreate. We see full process, easy, how I draw in caps. She's getting it. She's in the groove. She's figuring it out. Oh God, I dropped my pencil in passion. And now I'm getting hyped for her because I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the aha. And that's what I want for all of us, right? What is our ahas? We need to find what's working for us. So it's really cool to actually see from all the videos and everything that I've been learning, I'm seeing it in action. I'm seeing it in action. All right, AI stole in red. Red has a color connotation of something negative. That's why a lot of the times when people are designing apps, a lot of the actual color palette, unless the business's color scheme is like red and white or something like that, like Nintendo, where red is their brand, most of the time red signifies to a user that something's happening, something's wrong. Yellow usually signifies caution. Green usually signifies, okay, something is okay or this can go. It works. There's a reason why that is red. And then we have money. That's rough. Girl, what happened? And how you can avoid it. But she provided a solution. We don't know what the solution is. She's assuring us. She said, don't worry, I got you. Boom, great title. I mean, there's a chance that it probably gets cut off, but that's okay. That's okay because she at least put the parentheses. So even if it's getting cut off, you can somehow see that there is hope, or there is an inserted opinion that will help me see that there is hope to this. And then she switches it up again, and we can see, because we're going from like 300 and 330. She tried something again, how you can become an art god, 5 easy steps. And I mean, it still has 117K views, but compared to the rest that's getting now to the 500K mark, it kind of didn't really work. And so then boom, the era of Viyaura has now emerged. We have her persona now always going to be either in the center or to the left or to the right, still following the rules of thirds, right? She's on 1/3 right here. The other 2/3, PewDiePie. He's just in there. He just in there. And honestly, it works because most people know who this man is. I didn't realize who this man was until very recently. I've heard of his name, never had a face to the name. But now I'm forced to know who this man is, and so are you. It's a famous face. The point is, boom, okay, the problem with art TikTok. Girl, what's the problem? I gotta know. Do any of us like that we have to make thumbnails like this? No. We don't like that we have to do things like this, but, you know, give me the cheese, man. I kind of want to know. I'm nosy like that. And then you can see she kind of reverted back to one of her earlier practices. She has probably at this point a bigger audience. So she's hoping, well, maybe this is just, again, another easy one. I probably already recorded these TikToks in some art capacity or whatever. I haven't clicked on this video. I actually don't know what this video is about. To my point, I don't know what this video is about. Art TikToks that made me draw better. If I'm honest, I don't know if these are hers or if they're the art tutorials. I don't know what's going on. And so she's probably saying like, I don't know what's going on either. But she kind of figures out, you know, this ain't working. Boom. She does it again. The mad lad. She does it again. The problem with Pinterest art. Okay, so this is emotional, opinion based. And honestly, she's made it very clear in her videos that she is more like casual, opinion based. She does do art. She does share tips, but she gives her 2 cents. Like that is her brand. She's given her 2 cents. And so boom, it kind of works again. My point is, in this very long segment, and I apologize that it's long. My point is, this is how you analyze to see what they mean about these thumbnails. And I know she's still figuring things out. We all are. The rules change constantly. They really do. I can confidently tell you she's trying her darndest to figure out what the heck is, what's the right thumbnail? And maybe she knows. And honestly, I want to give her credit because she does know. But there's probably days where she's like, I don't know what to do. But again, that's the whole point of A/B testing. You make at least 3 thumbnails and titles, and you can kind of figure out what do the people want. Something happened in this video that just worked. She said, bet, I'm gonna do it again. So she figures it out. This diabolical. You know, you know why people click on. I know you know why. That's why they're a little blurred. All right. Point is, she figures it out. And she gets saucy with it. You can still see, even though these are huge views, right? The goal, oh, if only I could get views like this, is probably what you're thinking. But you can still see, she's still figuring it out. There are some that just hit and some that just don't. Like, we go from 1 million to 500K. Like, we figure it out. But this is still a formula. This is a video format. This versus this is a video format. And arguably, this still worked. But when you compare this one to a 7.5 million viewed video, you can kind of just go from there. Like, she's figured something out, but it's just sometimes you just don't know, and you learn from it. And that's what she's doing. She's learning from one that didn't work, but it's clearly working. It's clearly working. My God. Anyway, I'm not a YouTube guru at all, but like, I get it. I see it. Anyway, we're gonna move on from this, but I hope this helps you understand how to think when analyzing a title and a thumbnail. So it doesn't have to be Viyaura's channel. It can be anyone else that has, video history. The goal is to find someone that has a lot of videos and a long history, because if you go to the channels that are incredibly successful and they only have 2 videos, it's going to be a lot harder to understand why they blew up unless you click on the video. You shouldn't have to click on the video, because then that's a whole other skill set of you're going to watch the video and you're going to understand, oh, this is why they blew up. But it's just, again, for studying purposes only. For this exercise, try to find your creators that you're inspired by. Find the ones that have a lot of videos for you to study, so you can get a point of reference of what is working and what is not. So lastly, how did I learn about this myself? These are the 2 videos that I learned from. I watched them, especially the first one. I watched that 30-minute video from beginning to end, and I took the notes that I needed to, especially about learning about color theory and composition, as well as the rule of thirds. And then again, I watched this video. It's a little bit shorter, but again, the editing style is very nice. And again, I like to lean more on the editing side, so that's why I watched this video. But then this video also has a PDF attached in the description. So if you want just a really quick high-level overview versus having to watch a 12-minute video. So again, these are the resources that I use to study from. That's why I then decided to do this analysis to practice the skills that I learned from these videos. That's how I'm telling you guys, that's how I learn quickly. I watch the lesson and then I immediately do these exercises with my own work and my own studies to then immediately apply the knowledge so that it solidifies and sinks in. So that the next time I'm going to make thumbnails, I have these philosophies already at least conceptualized in my brain. That is deliberate psychological UI decision making right there. Pisses me off. So I'm trying to figure out, how do I replicate this right here? Okay, so now I'm gonna go into Canva. This is something that's like a little preset frame, and then like this is just a square with rounded edges.